So he'll have the job that I wish I had right now. But it is my great thrill to introduce you to the very lovely, the very wonderful. I'm going to use this because somebody got up on the forum and I said I would use it. Is it hot in here or is it just summer? Summer Glau!
She puts the purse here so I can't sit right next to her. That's fine. Yeah, about to right on you. Summer Glau, ladies and gentlemen. Give her one more hand. All right, we'll just get straight into it. If you have any questions for Summer, I think is there a microphone set up? It's over here. So go ahead and line up. And we do have a limited amount of time because we do have to wrap things up at 1:55 to get the next panel in here. So first off, welcome to Dallas. Not your first time. You were actually, we met last year when you were at Dallas International for the Legend of Hell's Gate. A return from Texas for you because you're a San Antonio native, but moved out to LA when your dancing career was cut short by a broken toe.
That is true.
Talk a little about the transition from dancing to acting. Was acting something you always had in mind as a career, or was that just, well, if I can't do the plie 18,000 times a day, then that's where I want to go next?
Stay in school. That's what happened to me. I always thought when I was a little girl that I was going to be an actress. I don't know why. I just had this feeling that I was going to be an actress. So I danced full time and went to my identity, and I didn't really have a backup plan. And strongly suggest to everyone out there to always keep in mind that injuries can happen to you. And that's why when I was 19, I had to kind of form a new identity. And so I went to this class. It was in a jazzercise building, and it was a class for adults who had a hard time speaking in public, and that's where I learned how to act.
There were two auditions that you had when you got out to LA. One of them we know about, which was auditioning as a ballerina for Joss Whedon's Angel. The other was for the Pink Power Ranger. How did that go exactly?
I was devastated I didn't get that role. It was really, really close. They had me fly back in. That was before I was living in LA full time. That was probably one of my very, very first auditions. And I remember a series of humiliating auditions where I had to try to pretend that I knew how to do karate in the room. And, I don't know. I just didn't have quite the pizzazz that is required. Pink Power Ranger. But I remember it in my heart, you know. Lesson learned.
Everybody's going to have a lot of questions about your work with Joss Whedon, the person who now owns, I think, a piece of Facebook along with everything else. Didn't you like buy Facebook with all the money made from Adventures Suite? But you've got two projects that are coming up, or one that's in the can and one you're getting ready to, if filming hasn't already started, with Tricia Helfer.
Well, I don't know what the actual show is going to be called, but it's based on the book Scent of the Missing.
And you're in the lead a lot with that, along with Tricia Helfer. Now, talk a little bit about that. Are they shooting a pilot, or has it already got a series run?
We shot the pilot, and we were supposed to hear last week if we got the pickup, but they decided that they were going to finish shooting one of their other shows before they made the final decision. So, for the time being, I just flew in from Toronto this morning because I'm shooting Office. So I'll be doing I'll be going back to that show for a while, and hope that I hear good news about my TNT show.
Fantastic. And then there's another film that you've got in the can that a lot of people who like sci-fi, LARPing, The Knights of Badassdom. Talk a little bit about it. The people who are applauding, they've seen the trailer and they're going, when can we see this movie? Talk a little bit about that flick really fast, because it's really a fun flick.
That was like the craziest summer camp experience I've never had and never thought I would. It was me and a bunch of boys LARPing all summer in Spokane, Washington.
Peter Dinklage, Danny Pudi. Good gosh, who else?
Peter Dinklage, Danny Pudi, Steve Zahn, Ryan Quanten. It was an amazing, amazing group of actors, and it was the first sort of comedy I've ever done, and so I learned from the best. Oh, and Jimmy Simpson's in it too. All of you would recognize Jimmy Simpson. He was amazing, and the movie is sort of like a fantasy gone wrong thriller, and it's hysterical. I've never laughed that hard in my life. Really, really fun.
And another chance for you to wield a sword in a convincing fashion better than half of the boys who were sitting alongside you.
Well, I tried, but LARPing is a whole other art. You have to be fearless. The craziest person always prevails when it comes to LARPing, and I comes to that beginner. So.
Fantastic. We've got a lot of questions. Let's start right over here with you, sir.
So, big fan. I want to know what it's like working with the guys from Big Bang Theory.
Well, in real life, it was sort of a reverse role because I was the one who I think was crushing on them because they were so amazing. They were great, really, really super smart, and I run into them all the time now in LA, and it's sort of like a reverse situation where I want to go up and say hi, or don't talk to me. It was awesome. I'm so happy I got to have that experience. And I take yoga with Kaylee all the time.
Right over here.
Hello, I just wanted to know what your favorite role that you've done is.
I have a favorite role, but I never say what it is. It's like children. You can't say you have a favorite. I love them all.
Right back here.
I just wanted to say that I became introduced to you and your work through the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, and I love that show. And I was wondering, I know they were talking about doing a DVD movie or something. Is there any chance that franchise will continue, and if it did, would you come back to it? Because I'd rather see that than Terminator 5.
I'm never going to give up hope that I could go back to that story. I was so happy playing that character. She was an amazing gift for an actress, and I thought that Josh Friedman did an amazing job of turning that. He loved the story. He's a huge Terminator fan, and so I thought that he had an amazing point of view on it, and it was a real shame that we didn't get to go into our third season. I was going to, well, do you remember the finale? The last I miss it, and I would absolutely come back, and I think the whole cast would.
Obviously, there's rights issues with it, and Friedman's working on a couple other projects too. Do you think that everybody would be drop everything, we're doing this movie for like a 6-week shoot?
I'd force everybody. I can't. Yeah. I don't know, but I have been hearing things like that. So who knows?
Over here.
On a serendipitously similar note, if, say, for example, a show like the Sarah Connor Chronicles or Firefly could come back as, say, animated series, is that kind of, I guess that means of getting more content out there, is that kind of thing attractive to you, or only if it's live action?
Absolutely. Well, I just did my first voice work this past year, playing Supergirl. And I loved it, and I think that Josh's story was so powerful and moving and smart. I'd be happy to see it in any form, even if it was written, even if it was a comic, I'd be thrilled. I think that it was a really special point of view, and I'd be happy to be involved, even if it was just my voice. Absolutely.
At any point did Friedman say, okay, in case we don't get a chance to finish this out, this is where I was going to go with Sarah Connor Chronicles? Was that conversation ever happened and swayed to secrecy afterwards?
Well, I think our finale was sort of a hint to the audience of where we were going to go with it. I was going, you know, we were I don't really know how to describe it, because we were going back to the past, but sort of the future, you know, it's a Terminator thing, but I was going to be playing Allison most of the time, and I thought that would be just so cool to see her relationship with John and see what it was like for us to be, you know, living in this post-apocalyptic world. I had a great time shooting that finale. It was incredible.
Really great. Go back over here.
Hi. I've been following your work for a long time, and you really played some fantastic characters, and you do a great job with them. I'm wondering, as an actress, what is, do you have a specific process, or what do you do with your character work?
Well, people ask me this question, and I wish I had a better answer. I really just pretend to be that character. And it's worked so far, I guess. I should have a better process after all this time. But really, you know, that's what works best for me. And that's what's most fun for me as an actor. That's what I loved doing. I was just thinking that last night, because I was shooting last night and thinking, it's just so fun to get to be somebody else for, you know, for even just a minute. Because when you're shooting, it's a very short period of time that you're actually doing it. But it's an amazing feeling. And that's the part that I get addicted to. And that's my process.
You'll go to some extremes with it. I mean, for example, when you were shooting Serenity as somebody that had been a vegetarian for a number of years, you went back to eating steaks just to get into that raw emotion.
I did. I realized, because I had to be in probably the best shape I've ever been in, and I couldn't do it without the extra protein. And I never went back to being a vegetarian after that.
Cheeseburger, it's supposed to be after this.
In the Sarah Connor Chronicles, was it hard being expressionless when you were acting like a cybernetic organism?
Walking the Dallas.
The hardest part was that I felt really guilty for my scene partner, because especially Lena, because, you know, she was always so ambushed and upset and trying to get through to me, and I just couldn't give her anything, and I felt like I was cheating all the time. Yeah, that was the hardest part, but it was fun, because when I first took the role, I just didn't know how I was going to approach. I'd never seen Terminator before, and my dad was so embarrassed. And I was trying to build this character, and you have to find a new way of connecting to the audience and trying to make people understand what's going on in her brain and in her robot heart. I thought I did. I thought people really did care about her and really did connect to her in the end.
Well, River was almost a blank slate in the same fashion, because there were very small nuances that you would give in your performance. It was almost sub-vocal, for a little glance every now and then, like, or just a little twist of a lip or an eyebrow, which communicated volumes as to what was going on in River's head. I mean, did you find you were drawn on the stuff you did with River when you were working on Sarah Connor?
What was interesting about River, I think, is that it was my first role, and so it was kind of an organic experience, because everything was really new for me, and I was very, very scared, and so I had a lot of, I felt very raw and very exposed, so it really worked organically for River, because she was so with John, but then she would have these outbursts of emotion, and it really felt like how I felt at that time in my life and in my career. And what also helped me was being a dancer. I always approached my roles from a physical place first. And for River, I did that quite a bit, trying to express how she was feeling through her through the body.
Back over here.
With both River and Bennett Halverson, they're both like really adorable and lovable, but also mentally unstable. Where did you find the balance to portray these two characters?
People are always saying that my characters are mentally imbalanced, and I'm not getting it. They're just a girl next door. She just misunderstood. That's how it was. Especially poor Bennett. Poor Bennett. She's just a nice girl who really could use a second arm.
Really wanted more Bennett. Really wanted more Bennett. That was really fun.
How'd you like working on the Firefly and the Terminator TV shows? Because see, my Uncle Joe's a fan of the Firefly show, I'm a fan of the Terminator show. How'd you like working on those shows?
It was a different time in my life. When I was working on Firefly, I was really, really young, and it was my first job ever. And I was definitely the baby of the cast, just in terms of experience. And it felt like home. I always tell this story that Adam would come up to me and he would say, "Kid, it's not always going to be like this. I just want to let you know." And I didn't know what he meant because that was the only set I'd ever been on, and Joss was Joss was my first boss, and he gave me a really, really safe environment to make mistakes, and I did make a lot of mistakes. And with Terminator, it was a different time in my life, and it was a much smaller cast, and I assumed more responsibility, but I was ready for it, and I loved it. So I feel like my roles have helped me grow up as I've gone along.
Talk a little bit about the casting process for Serenity.